If you have been studying human design for some time, I'm sure that you have heard about the difference between the seven-centered being and the nine-centered being. Having this Uranian vehicle as opposed to the Saturnian vehicle, the main difference between the two is just in the way of filtering the information. On the surface, we're exactly the same. The real differentiation is not visible when you follow your strategy and authority. It's not visible on the surface. You can only notice it once you get into the substructure. If you have been following my teachings on the tones, maybe you remember how when I compared the shape of the tone, this triangle, to the shapes of our three awareness centers and to the shape of the body graph itself. So we see the synchronicity. Now, when it comes to the magic square, we can see this synchronicity once again. We can recognize the pattern. And the pattern is visible in the base. What the magic square is the base on the surface, is your base orientation brought up to you, given to you to examine. So the magic square, and talking about let's talk about personality side for this video only. It's both how we take in and how we see the world and how we see ourselves. The personality magic square can be seen in two different ways. It's basically like deconstructing the square and looking at two different charts. In the chart on the left-hand side, we have this cross. This is our mundane realm. If you have seen my video on how to make money, how to be successful in this incarnation, in a material sense, this is where you work from. This is what I was talking about. Only these four planets. It's your Mercury, your Venus, your Neptune, and your Jupiter. And this is the reason why we very often in human design have questions. How is it that we have so many celebrities, so many millionaires, so many people who seem rich and successful on this material plane, who have never heard of human design, who have never probably been into any kind of spiritual system at all? It's because of their mundane cross. If they have it here, if they're not self, if they're living through this cross and they have those themes there, that is what they're going to get. This is the information they take in. This is the information. This is what leads to their perspective. This is what leads them to look at the world in a certain way. This is the realm where most of our parents will live from. Most of the world around us will live from. It's where the people that we consider homogenized, that we consider conditioned, it's where they are. But if you're here listening to this video, you are aware, you have your eyes opened, you're opened to something else. You don't exclusively live from this realm. If you look at the keywords that are a part of this realm, we have communication, standards, misinformation, and laws. This is what grounds us. This is what conditions us. This is what we use to condition. If you are here, I'm sure that you're not operating solely from this realm. There is something more to you. Maybe you were interested in all kinds of different systems, religions, beliefs since you were a child. Maybe it's something that came to you suddenly. Somebody introduced you to astrology, to human design, to crystals, whatever it is. And it caught your interest. Maybe it's something that happened to you after a very difficult situation. You decided to completely change your life and look for different things in life. Regardless of the timing and the reasoning, if you are here, you have that curiosity. You have that awareness that there is more to life than these 4 themes. Now, unfortunately, majority of us are not aware of that. It can seem impossible to your mind that there is people in this world, in this day and age, who cannot comprehend that there is more to life than these 4 things. They don't know life. Their world revolves around communicating the standards, communicating the expectations, communicating things appropriately, thinking about the laws, rules, regulations of behavior, of being, of fitting in. They operate through believing the media, which is seen in the Neptune. I think the word misinformation is a bit of a misinformation itself. I would rather call this one distraction. It's like what politicians do. It's not a lie, it's just distracting you from the real problem. Now, even though this realm can come with a lot of material benefits, it can come with a lot of material success. It's where intelligence comes from. If you are somebody who's looking for something more to life, this is not where you're going to find it. If we look back on the original square, you can notice that Mars is in the center of everything. And it comes with a keyword mutation, which tells us that every one of these planets, every aspect of us is connected to a mutative potential. It doesn't mean that if you are not self, if you're unaware, if you're living in this mundane realm, that you don't experience the other planets. You absolutely experience them, but they consume you. They talk through you. You become the planets. You become the slave of the program. And that is not what is supposed to happen in the awareness. Mars is special because it's about the way you think. So what the main job of your Mars is to transform, to mutate the way you think. And we all deserve that our thinking mutates, and we all have potential for it, but not all of us are interested in it. Once the Mars matures, once the Mars transforms and mutates, only then are you able to enter the diagonal, to enter this other realm. This is not something that you can decide to do. I'm now going to read my Mars line and I'm going to transform it in my own mind, and I'm going to see it differently. You can express things differently. You can decide to do that. You can decide to communicate differently. But if you're still thinking the same thoughts, the transformation did not happen. The mutation did not happen. None of these things can be willfully done. It all starts with the environment. And this is where my deconditioning formula gets confirmed by Ra, actually, where he says that the natural companion of base and the base orientation is our environment, because what the nodes are in charge of is movement, is orientation and direction. The only thing that you can willfully change here is your environment. That is the frequency. When I talk about the environment, I'm not talking about your color and you going in a cave or going on a mountain. I don't care for that stuff. I'm talking about the frequency of your nodal gate and line, surrendering to them. That's the only thing you're here to do. And it's not, in reality, it's not something you need to do. It's undoing. Surrendering is not doing. But that is the only step you need to take. And then all of these little bits and pieces fall into place. Even Ross said that the body graph itself is just a transitional model. that a nine-centered being, to really understand itself and its difference from the seven-centered being, is going into the magic square. Ra himself presented this system to us through the mundane world. He told us how we're supposed to communicate. He gave us the voices of the throat. If you don't have this gate, you're not allowed to say I think. If you don't have this gate, you're not allowed to say I believe. You know, that's Mercury. He's telling us how we are supposed to express ourselves, how we're supposed to communicate. There's rules how we are meant to communicate. He gave us the standards. He gave us correctness and incorrectness. He gave us rules to follow. He gave us strategy and authority. And then Neptune. There's a lot of illusion and delusion going around here. There's a lot of distraction. Even in the deepest of studies, he goes so deep into the planetary resonance. I see how far away he goes into it, and suddenly it's like something stings him, and he's like, oh yeah, but forget about all of this strategy and authority, you know, because he knows who he's dealing with. He's not dealing with awakened passengers. He's dealing with a not-self world. And he had so much awareness and he had so much intelligence that he brought this out to us perfectly, in a way to hook us in and in a way for us to spend loads of money on this system. And like, if I look at the people here, if I look at the people around me who are these homogenized, conditioned, whatever you want to call them, not self, I don't know what to call them. And we look at Pluto, for example. They never even think about the existence of a personal truth. It doesn't matter to them. Main difference between what we do as nine-centered beings in relationship to these planets and differently than seven-centered beings is something that I talk a lot about in my clarity video. That's what happens over time. You just notice how you just stop caring about these 14s. It's like you stop paying attention to the distractions and the misinformation or the standards that are there or that are not there. You're just not interested in that anymore. You're not interested in communicating what is right and what is wrong, what is moral, what is standardized, what is expected. It just doesn't matter anymore. And even if you, in your chart, have color resonance from your Sun and Earth to one of the mundane planets, it still doesn't matter. Even if this resonance is being pulled out of you by another person that you're in aura with, it still won't change it. Because it's not about what's written down. It's about your awareness and the filtering.